hey, happy Wednesday. Let me turn that down a little bit more. There we go. Because we're cranking the metal. We're cranking the metal today. That's what we're doing. We are doing some punk rock Demon Slayer goodness. So I got the headphones on. We are going to be just painting tonight. I know, crazy. Crazy. That's all we're doing. Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy week. I don't know if you all saw the news that ArtStation Marketplace is now going away. Epic owns ArtStation. They own a whole bunch of stuff. You know, Epic, if you don't know. I know them as the developers behind Unreal. Like, I'm old school. So Unreal Tournament, Unreal 2, the Leandry project or whatever it was called. And yeah, but mostly known for Fortnite nowadays, right? But they own pretty much everything. They own Sketchfab, they own Quexels, they own Megascans. Well, Quexels as Megascans. ArtStation, they actually bought out a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And now they're taking all of the websites, all of the kind of the storefronts that they use. So ArtStation is a place that you can sell brushes and tutorials and all that stuff. They're taking all of that for the Unreal Marketplace, Quexel, or Quixel, or however you pronounce it, Sketchfab. They're throwing them all into one store, which sounds great. It will not be great. I am not a believer. I'm kind of a hater about it right now. Because essentially, they're making a landfill of every type of asset you can buy, all on one website, and that's dumb. So I sell my stuff in a lot of places: Gumroad and QBrush and Flip Normals and ArtStation Marketplace, and I'm kind of everywhere, right? So a little behind the scenes is I got pissed off enough about ArtStation now kind of going away, because now we're going to build this big dump truck and we're going to put everything in there. So, oh, you want digital brushes? Well, good luck finding them, because you're going to have to go through 3D models of a radio and weird pathing objects for like artificial intelligence for NPCs for Unreal Engine games. Yeah, they're going to have a search function. Yeah, they're going to have funnels. They're going to have all whatever that stuff is. But you're taking already a huge store, which is the ArtStation Marketplace. And you are basically... It's already hard enough to get kind of on the front page, as it were. Because ArtStation is everybody. That's every high-impact artist that works in the industry today. And all the biggest art instructors, like myself, who are in the industry today... We're already kind of vying for a spot. You kind of work for it, you know what I mean? And I've been very fortunate. I'm in the top 15% of all ArtStation creators, which is awesome and super thrilled and like lovely, and it's incredible. But whenever all the AI crap started, that flooded the storefront, and it literally plummeted not only my earnings, but the earnings of every other major, like, actual person that makes stuff for a living. Plummeted. Like, knocked us out by like 80%. And you can't do anything about it. It's just flooded with crap. So I've seen what happens already, and that's just on the one website. But now you're taking that same thing that's happening across the entire creative industry as far as entertainment creativity, right? So visual developers and art directors and all that. You're taking everything from every aspect of a visual language medium. So video games and movies and all that. You're throwing them into one pot. They're all dealing with that type of issue right now, among many others, like unionizing and all that. Throwing it into a big store. It's going to be shit. It's going to be horrible. I see it bombing. I see it absolutely bombing. What they're hoping for is that they become the Walmart of like digital tutorials and digital, like they want to be the one, right? It's not going to happen that way. I mean, I would love to be wrong, but it's not going to happen that way. So What I'm doing is I'm literally building a brand new website from scratch. It's going to host everything I do, everything, every course, every brush pack, every asset, everything. It has a members area. You can log in. You get to keep all your courses. Like, I'm building it right now. It's literally kind of on this tab over here. Progress is good. It's just you like taking things from one storefront and going to another is very difficult, especially if there's certain file types that the new one won't take. So all of that is getting transferred over right now. It's going to take probably, let's see, if I work on it 8 hours a day, every day, probably 3 weeks to get it all done, get it all set up, because it's going to be not only my art portfolio, but literally a learning center. It's going to be a place that you can go, you can purchase stuff, you can get brushes, you can get asset packs, you can get my gradient maps, you can get pretty much everything I make. Plus, there's going to be exclusive stuff. I'm already working on Simplifying Color Theory Part 2. I'm working on Freelance Business Acumen, a whole course about how do you send a good email? How do you contact art directors? What happens if an art director contacts you? All that. All the skills I've learned from Star Wars and Warhammer and all that stuff, it's going into the course. Since I host the course, it can be whatever I want it to be. Now I'm not, I'm going to cross-post it probably on these other stores, on Gumroad, on whatever, because why not? I'm posting stuff there anyway. But there's going to be exclusive stuff just on the site because it's mine now. So I'm going to do whatever. They can do whatever they want. All the core stuff's going to be there. I'll be able to plug it. I'll be able to give you guys steep discount codes because I control all of it. I'm not at mercy of whatever decision they make. They could decide to close up shop and I wouldn't be impacted. I mean, I would definitely be impacted, but not as bad. Do you know what I mean? I need to take all the stuff. So every course, everything I've made, it's all going to be there. There's going to be exclusive videos, just for the website. Members that pass a certain threshold per year are going to be in kind of a celebration thing, which I'm planning right now, which is pretty cool. There will be perks to joining up on the website. There's going to be newsletter. Think of if you mixed Gumroad and Skillshare and Udemy and ArtStation Marketplace and a print shop and Gumroad and made it all on one website. And that's what mine is. But it's just my stuff. I can talk directly to you all. I can make a course about whatever sounds cool. I can have a course made within a week and put up on the site. I can make free courses. I can make more free brush packs. It gives way more flexibility than having to hit certain earnings potential goals or whatever on some other person's website. Do you know what I mean? So no, we're taking it back. We're going all in. We're doing the art instructor thing. We're going to make prints. I'm kind of sick of it. This is the fourth time I've had to hit the big reset button in 5 years, and I'm done with it. And I don't want to have to wait around for other art directors or illustrators to oh, well, we're going to have a project and the project will start in 2 years. We'll call you then. Well, I got other things to do. I'd love to work with you. Call me in 2 years. I'll definitely help. But no, no. We're taking it back, man. Hey. Yeah, so sorry about starting with a rant, but that's why we're listening to some harder music. We're going to be painting. I already started the painting. It might be done after this stream. I don't know. We're going to paint for a few hours. We're going to see where we get. But yeah, I'm going to start focusing on prints. I'm going to start focusing on stuff I can control instead of starting to rely on whatever they decide is happening. They can do whatever they want. But my whole goal is to build a cool community, to be able to teach people that want to learn. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people to have to scrape through AI bullshit just to try to find a good tutorial about color theory. No, you don't, that's not a burden you need to deal with. You know what I mean? There needs to be an easier way. There has to be an easier way. Yeah. No, I was basically I went on a big State of the Union address to my wife earlier in the week about it. I was like, I cannot believe this. I can't believe it. So it's like, you know what? We're going to take it back. We're going to own this thing. We're going to own the Discord. We're going to own the, you know what I mean? Like, this is all of our thing. And we're going to build it, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to stay affordable. Each tutorial, I think the highest mark tutorial I'm going to sell is like $10. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, the other ones are $5, $6. Some of them are $3. If it's kind of a bite-sized thing, if it's only a few hours of video, $3. Who cares? We can make the price. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about the value of it. And I think there's more value in getting more things and more knowledge and that communication into people's hands. There's actual value there. You know, sure, you can flood a store with 800 million items, but okay, let me tell you a sales story. I promise we will paint in a minute, but I'm on a kicker right now. This is a very rare sight, so I don't normally like to do this, but I've been stretched pretty thin. So in sales, we actually learned, I can't remember what country it was in. It may have been Norway. Where was it? But essentially, there was a store that had the most types of mustard you've ever seen. They sold, God, 11,000 types of mustard, let's say. Like, literally, they banked it. They were like, hey, come check out the mustard wall. Come check out. There's so much selection that you can get whatever, like, anything you can think of, any recipes from any country. Like, come check it out, right? And sales were fine. Sales were good, but they got a new owner. They got a new sales team. They brought in a new executive team and stuff like that. And then the person came in and they're like, wait a minute. Why do we have so much mustard? And then the old hat were like, oh, listen, man, this is what brings people in the door. It's what brings people want to see. They want to be able to look. They want to be able to browse. They want to see it. And there's like, okay, you just made a museum. Who's buying the mustard? They thought about it. Well, no, sales are pretty good. Yeah, sales are pretty good. But how many people come in, they see this giant ass wall of mustard, and they don't make a decision, and they leave? There's too many options. There's too many options. They lowered it from like genuinely like thousands of mustards to like 14. And sales skyrocketed. People were so nervous on the other end, on the board of directors, on the shareholder meetings. Oh no, what are we going to do when we can't advertise we have the wall of mustard? I don't know, you'll make more money? Like, and it's not all about money, but it's about the idea. If you go to Fab, which is what the new place is called, and you see, if you click on, okay, I need a 2D asset, which is what like a brush would be, or well, yeah, actually just a digital paintbrush for Procreate or Photoshop or whatever. You click the button for 2D asset. If you did that on ArtStation Marketplace, that's already about 10,000 items. Give or take. I could pull it up, but, you know, just roll with me. Once you get Fab in there and you mix Sketchfab plus Quexel plus Unreal Engine Marketplace plus all this other stuff, that number is going to be in the millions. In the millions. And they're all going to be competing for each other. So you're not going to know what to find. You're not going to, what is this? You know what I mean? And correct me if I'm wrong, but the customer base for a 3D model is not the same customer base that's wanting a painterly texture for their Photoshop paintings. There might be overlap. There might be 5% overlap. But if I'm looking for a 3D rigged model of a spaceship, do you think that I care about gradient maps that work in Procreate? No, not looking for that. I don't go to my dentist if I need something done with my plumbing. You don't do it. Like, you just don't do it. So why are they mixing 8 storefronts into one big trash heap of a thing, man? Like, it's unbelievable. Hey guys, but it comes out in October. Coming out in October. You got, oh man, October. And if you go and you buy the stuff on the new site, on the Fab thing, now all of the old purchases you made on like ArtStation Marketplace or on Unreal Engine or whatever, they may not transfer over directly. Not right away at least. But you didn't hear that from me. That's some internal things happening. Unreal. Ha, pun intended. Okay, let's start painting. But yeah, so to say I'm kind of fired up is understatement of the century. So let's talk about this painting. Let's talk about this one, yeah? Yeah, ArtStation's already pretty bloated. So no, we're gonna take it back, man. We're gonna do our own thing. So a little bit about this painting. I'm a big fan of a painter named Peter Pollock. Apterus is his online name. Let me bring up. I have a whole bunch of his paintings up, and he has some crazy color. His color theory knowledge is off the hook. And that's a thing that I definitely need more experience with. Like, I know color theory. There's one thing about theory, and then there's another thing about using the theory correctly. So we can teach theory all day, but can we use theory? And that's kind of the gimmick. So Peter's work is unbelievably good. And what's amazing about Peter is he paints in color. He doesn't do a black and white. He doesn't do he might start with a gradient map thing, but primarily he's color from the get-go. And you can tell because some of these transitions are just perfect. You know what I mean? Trying to understand what he does. Yeah. So I'm kind of figuring out, but the real main thing is, and I love these chromatic aberration brushes right here. I need to make some. It's not normally my gimmick, but it's a pretty good gimmick. Not going to lie. The rendering is the thing. So what I'm seeing is more, so yeah, there's some like loose brushwork around here, around some of the edges. A majority of these, honestly, are made in Krita. Second thing I noticed, the other program he uses is PaintStorm Studio. He has some stuff for Photoshop, but primarily it's Krita and PaintStorm. And that's how you're able to get a lot of these amazing like little wet blends without too much hassle. But you'll notice the edge control is super sharp, right? Same thing here. Also, he's not afraid of keeping very, very dark ambient shadows. Very dark, like coming close to pure black. You know what I mean? So there's a lot going on here. There is a lot to think about, a lot to look at. And like just stunning uses of light and color, just good understanding. But it was funny because this is one of his older ones. And I was looking at it and like, yeah, the rendering's better than kind of the stuff I have online and all that. But I was also like, oh, these colors don't look too outrageous to me. Like, I get it. It's kind of the nice green purple. You have your green and your magenta. Those are your complementaries. And then you're just using your brown as a base. I get it. Sure. But then whenever you start getting into like this, it's kind of the same thing. You have your cyan, you have your magenta, you have your yellows and your browns. But then he's starting to mix in the reds and the purples. Every color of the rainbow is in this painting. You know, maybe the blues, but there are a little bit of blues right here. And it's like, oh, it's possible. And not only is it possible, but it's actually like pretty achievable. You just have to go for it. You just have to use the colors and do the craziness. So this is what we have so far. My goal is I am going to soften the paint stroke work in the shadows here, but keep the color variance. but I'm going to keep the brushwork really kind of insane in the lights. So basically, I would be, this would be high key lighting. So the details of brushwork and all that stuff are going to be in the highlights rather than the shadows. Because you can see me already kind of blend these shadow colors anyway here. So super vibrant, super saturated. I thought it could make for maybe a cool art print. You know, we'll see how it prints, because if this is in RGB, but even in CMYK, this still works pretty well. It just dulls a little bit of the darks, but everything else is still golden, right? So yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to render. We're going to render here. We're going to fix some of the rendering here. I like having the colors there. We're just going to use them. We're going to render maybe some of the light here to kind of hit this. But I'm kind of fine with the lighting not making any sense. It doesn't have to. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's a very good point. And that's kind of what I was doing here. Is you'll notice we have that kind of bright yellow, very saturated, but then we also brought in a desaturated orange that's also pretty bright. But then you just throw in a random nice magenta or something, like a pink almost, and it just draws the eye. It doesn't care what it is, doesn't matter. You know, it just is what it is. So I'm going to move this drink somewhere I won't spill it. Here we go. All right. So yeah, we're just going to render, man. That's what we going to do. We'll hit B. And I will be using kind of my new main brushes here to render out. Then we're going to take it into a painterly deal. Kind of do the smudgy goodness right here. I can use the mixer brush tool. We actually have some good mixer brushes that we can use to get that same look. But I also don't want to worry about brush settings too much. So going into a program that just does more painterly stuff just seems like a better idea. Oh, there we go. Yeah, in the past few days, I haven't really painted all that much. So I started this painting, ironically, in Procreate. That's what the next YouTube video is about. This is my favorite brush packs for Procreate. But it did not start as this painting. It started as another painting. You guys are going to laugh whenever you see what I end up doing. I got bored of the painting I was working on, so I just kind of nuke it from orbit. I just completely got thick brushes and just went ham on it. Do that. Bring in more of that shape. But yeah, I think we're going to start really going more towards focusing on making good quality, like printable art. Really start finding out the nuances of that. Also, with the new website, I will be able to do direct sales of the comic graphic novel art book thing I'm working on. So it's literally just going to be a haven full of just whatever I got going on. You know what I mean? Like, let's do that. And it's going to be nice because we don't really have to answer to anybody at that point. I mean, not even like, and you know, I'm going to keep the Patreon open. It's only $1 a month, but the patrons will get like exclusive coupon codes for being loyal and all that stuff. You know, I'm going to hook people up. I'm absolutely going to hook people up. But now I'll also be able to have a platform that I can just release any kind of tutorial on, which is pretty exciting. They don't have to like fit certain deals because I have a few Skillshare courses up, right? But Skillshare is very specific on the way they want stuff formatted. And I understand they have their own brand to worry about, and like everything has to be a Skillshare course rather than a course by this, like, basically Skillshare is out to get themselves over rather than like actually promote creators, in my opinion, which isn't a bad thing. I don't think it's misleading. I think, you know, Skillshare gives a platform, much like YouTube, but they're looking out for themselves. Like, you have to follow the rule of, you know, what makes for a good Skillshare course as opposed to like a YouTube course or, you know, which I get. There's no shame in it. It's just, what if I want to break the rules a little? Like, how, as an artist, that's kind of the idea, right? You kind of want your artist to be a little bit of an anarchist. A little bit of a, hey, screw the system. Let's do our own thing, right? What do you think about fan art in a portfolio? I'd only be including one piece of fan art if I could at all. Yes. I would say do it. When, it's cool enough to include this painting if it turns out well. Yeah, I would. Because it's going to show people your interests. You know, I think in one of my videos, I talked about art directors will only look at your portfolio for like 15 seconds. If that. They got a lot they got to go through. We're talking like hundreds a week, right? And that's every week all year round. So you want to give them some of your personality. And who knows? What if somebody from, I don't know who publishes, I mean, I think Nintendo kind of controls everything Pokemon, but you never know who controls the social media, you know, like if Pokemon Company has fan art roundups or something. Like, you don't know where those social media managers are looking. And they may be interested in your stuff. And then they see that you have Pokemon fan art. Bam. You know what I mean? Like, and not just for Pokemon, but for anything. Like, I'm telling you, I'm convinced my fan art of Boba Fett got me the Boba Fett job. I mean, you can't convince me otherwise. Because why else would they know I could do a Boba Fett painting rather than me doing a Boba Fett painting? So do it. I say do it. Other artists might tell you no, or other art instructors might tell you no. But I think it's part of your personality. And you're going to have more fun solving problems whenever you're getting into the muck of kind of the parts that every artist gets bored with, or, you know, if you're doing a thing that you love, you're going to push through. You're going to make sure that that painting is done. And it's going to be better for it. You know what I mean? You're going to push through those hardships, and then you're going to make something that's awesome, that you can really be proud of. And you already have a built-in audience. You are leveraging the love that the world has for Pokemon. Do you know what I'm saying? So now you just opened yourself up to an infinite amount of people. You know, 30 million people or whatever is buying the new Pokemon games, that is now your essentially your client, your audience. So it makes total sense. Wasn't real good, but yeah. Oh yeah. So like, you never know. I mean, because but don't they have like comic books? Don't they have? Do they have comics, or is it just a manga, or do they even have manga anymore of Pokemon? Like, I don't know. I had that Krillin that way, but I actually think this works better. Yeah, if it hooks back around, almost like a rockabilly, like a super sharp, like rockabilly, like fish hook type thing, right? So something I did notice about Peter's work, and it's something that I really need to focus on, is getting rid of any unnecessary sharpness. So like, I know this is like nitpicky stuff, but like here, I like this kind of fishhook curl, but there's this part right here and then this part right here. And in order to sell this silhouette to be stronger, I need to get rid of anything that breaks up that curve. So like, get rid of that. And this is true like devil in the details stuff right here. And get rid of that. Then I can come in and actually even out that swoop. So this is what I think of when I think of rendering, is coming in and just really getting, and we can keep the tip of this a little more flary, I guess, like, see like that hard edge. There we go. And this can kind of come in. So no unnecessary weirdness, right? And sure, you could come in and maybe like smooth it out with a bristle brush or a smudge tool or something, but I think just painting the correction is a better way to go. And even like that, like this was a little too perfect of a line coming up to follow that, so we're just gonna do something like that. What do you think about commissions? I mean, I would say if you're interested in it, try it. Just try it out. The worst that's going to happen, I mean, the worst that's going to happen is you won't get any commissions. But I do think it's a good way to, like, quote unquote, handle the public. Because if you have an art director, even if they're only paying you $30, $50, whatever, you're still going to go through that same rodeo of like, okay, here's the sketches. Which one do you approve? Okay, well, now let's push this one to final. Oh, well, before we go, like, I would say my main advice on if you are going to be doing commissions, take half the money up front before you even get started. And the reason why is that's going to sort out the people that are going to flake on you. And also make the first half non-refundable. That's really going to make sure that the people that are hiring you are doing it because they want your artwork. You know, they want your stuff. So have them make no mistake. Because if they're not willing to put the money up front, you don't want them as a client. You don't. I would stay far away. If they're like, well, no, well, how about that? They're going to give you what's called the Mexican standoff. at the very end you're going to have this file, and then they have the briefcase of money, and then you're like, give me the money, and they're like, well, give me the file, and then no one gets anything done. But yes, your goal to be a commission artist is to protect yourself. And here's another deal that's kind of related to that. So once your skills get to a certain point, you will get hounded on social media to work for exposure. You will. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Maybe actually less nowadays because those people are all big AI bros. So they're going to make their crappy stuff through an AI thing like Midjourney or Stable Diffusion or whatever. So they may not even worry about like trying to hawk people for exposure anymore, which is actually, that might be a net positive. Get all those people out of the pool, you know. But the best rebuttal, this is the only rebuttal you will ever need. If somebody wants you to work for exposure, or, oh, hey, we're doing a campaign, we're doing a Kickstarter, and, you know, whenever we get the funding, then we can give you the money, but we need the art in order to make the Kickstarter, and there's no money yet, but there will be. Any of that crap. Say no. Well, first say, oh, so, okay, so for exposure, tell me, like, how'd you find me? Just ask them how they found you, right? Because it's a very simple question. Hey, how'd you find me? Oh, I saw your stuff on Twitter or Instagram, or I saw it on, oh, there was a YouTube video, or, oh, I saw your stuff on ArtStation or DeviantArt or wherever you're posting it, right? And then that's a great thing because you're like, oh, so you came to me. So you just discovered me, right? You just discovered me out of the ether, out of all these artists. You discovered me. I don't need exposure. That's it. If they came to you, if they found you, then you didn't beg to them. Do you know what I mean? Like that's your rebuttal. Oh, you found me? Then I don't need exposure. My stuff's getting exposed just fine. What else can you offer me? That's it. I will never forget. It was my second year as a pro. Somebody wanted to hire me for that exact same kind of, well, we have this idea and we're going to pitch it to a company and we're blah, 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 but we need the art to be able to blah, blah, blah. And then you'll be in on it and then we'll blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, but no, you literally just think of the amount of people, like if this gets picked up, that are going to see it, you know, because they had a good brief. They had a good deal. They were talking about, they literally already had a meeting with Netflix, and that part was true. Juan, what's up, my friend? Thank you for the sub on YouTube. So they actually had a pretty good documentation. They had a good brief. They just needed some conceptual pieces to be like, okay, here's what we're thinking for like the premiere, or here's what we're thinking for the setting for the first, the pilot. That's the word I'm thinking of. And I was like, well, here's the thing. It sounded kind of cool and stuff, but their big miscommunication, their big misunderstanding is I was like, oh, they tried to play think of how many eyeballs are going to be on this. Think of how many, just think of it. Just imagine, if you will, this Peter Pan land of endless possibilities. They try to sell that gimmick. But what they didn't realize, well, they actually did realize, because this is where they saw my stuff. I had just been published by Halo, right? They used my stuff on socials. I got to do a little interview for them. They talked about my stuff. They, got to work with Snickerdoodle is the name of, at the time she was the kind of the PR social media person, but also got to talk with some of the art directors. And I tried to talk to Sparth, but he was busy, as well he is. But I was like, oh yeah, a lot of eyeballs. You do realize that my stuff just got seen by 30 million people. Can you promise me 30 million people? If you can, I'll do it right now. I'll drop everything I'm doing. But you can't. So take that crap out of here. All that exposure nonsense. No, and I mean, it's sometimes even more than that. I mean, there are a lot of people, and a lot of these like art posty, oh, let's repost your art on this, and our art gallery has 10,000 followers and stuff like that. And it actually seems like a pretty good deal. And if you're struggling to kind of get traction, that can seem pretty lucrative. Like, oh, okay, well, they're wanting to post my stuff in front of this many people, and that sounds cool. It's never cool. Very rarely will you get work from that. Very rarely. And the reason why is because a lot of people just follow those art accounts, those big curated, like, oh, here's so and so, and this painting from so and so, and this painting from so and so, and they post 4 times a day. People never follow the other artists. Hardly ever. Because why would they? They're getting 3 new paintings every 10 minutes on their social media feed. There's no incentive. You have to give people incentive. You have to give people incentive in order for them to really stick around. It's business 101. You always have to think, what is in it for them? What's in it for them? Yeah, it is definitely a gamble, but I will say something that will kind of contradict everything I just said. If it is a project you actually want to be a part of, if it's something that you see it and you're like, oh man, I don't care if this thing bombs. This sounds really cool. I want to try it. Do it. Even if they don't pay you anything, do it. Because, and I know this from working corporate and working retail and doing sales and all sorts of stuff, you never know where people are going to end up. You never know. So maybe that project didn't work. But maybe the person that hired you was also the director, or they become a director of something else. That the part of their portfolio was that failed project, but it got some eyeballs on it, and those eyeballs, it was the right eyeballs. Push comes to shove, 1.5 years goes by, they get hired by so-and-so. And then they remember that person in that new position. They could be working at, Columbia Pictures, which doesn't exist anymore. But like that type of thing, right? Like they could now be a head art director for Blizzard, let's say. They will remember your loyalty. I guarantee it. They will remember that you were skilled, that you were professional, that you delivered, and you had faith in them even when the project didn't work. So guess who just got up to number 1 on the list of who that art director is going to scout to get on their team? So do you keep the rights to your art in situations like that? So in situations like what? Like if it's part of an art brief for, like, let's say a Netflix show? Like if it's part of a package and the package is like going to investors and all that stuff? Oh, or Kickstarter. It depends on the agreement, but usually the answer is no. You no longer own it. In fact, I have stuff. I have stuff I made for Warhammer I cannot show anybody. And not because of an NDA. Well, I mean, yes, because of an NDA, but not because of that, but because the project doesn't exist anymore and it's in limbo. It's like put into the vault in Games Workshop. It was an idea they had, super rad idea. I think it could be a huge hit. Can't talk about it, can't show anything for it. It's just hanging out there. But working with like Troll Lord Games on the Gary Gygax stuff, not only is Troll Lord cool about like me still owning those pieces, well, owning those pieces in regards to like selling prints of it. I can sell prints. It's like Magic the Gathering, right? Like you have ownership that you can make secondhand money off of it, but you cannot, usually the legalese and the legal agreements of it is you cannot use that art in a similar product by a competitor. So like if I made artwork for Magic the Gathering, I could not use that same artwork if I got a job at like Flesh and Blood or Legend of the Cryptids or whatever other, you know, Varia or whatever other card game. I could not use that art really in any publication, but especially in the same wheelhouse. So usually it's just safer. Once it's done, and you can make prints of it. You're allowed to put it in your portfolio, of course. But no, you can't use it for anything else, really. It has its one use case, and then that's kind of it. But yeah, so what's nice, though, is especially when they, like, use your name in Kickstarter, which I'm real happy. Troll Lord did that whenever they talked about the Gary Gygax World Builder Archive, and they also did the Hermit, which I was able to do the cover on, and 5 paintings, which I hopefully get to show you guys soon. 4 or 5. Oh, maybe 6 paintings. But I get to show those soon, hopefully, whenever they start doing art reveals. So basically, the way it works is they now have the usage rights to those, so they are the first ones to be allowed to show it. It's the same thing with Star Wars. We keep it under lock and key, and they get to reveal it. But once it's revealed, once it's out in the open, then I can post it on my portfolio. I can post it on social media. Like, then I can be like, oh, Star Wars just announced Star Wars Villainous. I made Boba Fett stuff. Here it is. Then you can do that. That's part of the agreement. So there's a lot of like hush hush stuff. And what's kind of nice is at any one point in time, I know of like 4 projects happening. You know what I mean? Like, oh, people are going to love this one. You know, like it's fun to, especially if I go onto forums or something and they're speculating about a thing. Like, I heard something like this was in the works. And then I'm like, oh, if you only knew. But that's part of the fun. That's part of the fun of the gig, you know. Hey, what's up? What's up, Rabani? So yeah, we're just talking shop right now. I'm just making a random no reference art print right now. So let's see how. That's cool. I like the idea of the red right here. I just don't know what this is. I don't know what it's supposed to be. And I should probably figure out what it's supposed to be before I continue on making the silhouette of it. I like the fact that maybe the glow goes into this. You know what I mean? Like some weird ligament or something. But I specifically don't know what any of it is. Right? Let me darken that out a little bit. Sharpen that up. Something else I noticed about Peter's work is he's very good at making details, but they kind of don't mean anything. There's his logo right there. That's funny. But like, they kind of don't. Like, these are cool orbs, but what are they? You know what I mean? Doesn't matter. They look cool. And like, the way this kind of leg bracelet, anklet, or whatever works. But, I mean, it's just kind of noise, you know? But I think that's smart. I think that's a great way to go. Also, there's some really cool texture, but even this texture is just kind of scribble, you know? That's all you need. And like even the detail on the skull here, there's just a random cut, you know, some bulbs. It's just cool. Give the eye something to like latch onto a little bit. So that's kind of what we're doing right here. I probably need to make some sort of etching or something on this just to give it a little bit of something, but what I could do, while I'm thinking about it, I do like the glow from that red. So maybe if I bring this down. And kind of like bring in the form a little bit more of this. Almost like that red is hitting. Just lights on top of lights on top of lights, you know? Multi-character paintings and marrying them with a global ambient light. Yeah. So yeah, do you have like a specific question about it, or is it just like, how do you do it? Because that's also a question, you know what I mean? Like, and it's a very good question too. But yeah, dealing with like multiple characters, it is trickier, but it doesn't have to be. My piece of advice for doing multi-character compositions is pick your light source and stick to it. 23 characters one by one, they all have the same value scale, and I'm trying to paint them with ambient light color. Yeah. So on that, yes. So that you doing that big kind of that piece that you're working on, the thing with that is I would find what color is your light source. Like what's your light source? What direction is it coming from, of course. And then I would render the forms really before anything else. Because you can also use the forms to kind of do the whole checkerboarding pattern to where you have light on dark, on light, on dark, on light, on dark, on light, on dark. And that can kind of, even if the lighting doesn't necessarily make sense, you can have it to where if somebody's a dark silhouette, then if it's a dark silhouette, it can be over the highlight of the bigger character behind them. But then that form turns into, that highlight goes into the shadow, which then goes into another highlight of this character. So you can use rim light and sort of like, as long as you make sure there's separation between each character, and you can do that either with value or you can do it with color. Even if they're on the same plane and the same value, you can use color contrast. That's where if you have one character that's yellow and one character that's blue, you know, and Pokemon are pretty good about being a lot of primary colors, or primary, maybe some secondary colors, but you don't get a lot of the weird colors. And I think the reason they do that, one, it's cheaper for animation. Just, you can get the easy color and blam. But also for contrast, whenever you have those next to each other, it'll look right. You know what I mean? As far as I know, appropriate for the position. Yeah, soft light with a blue over top. Yeah. So that's where we get into that's where we get into, I guess, literal versus figurative. And what I mean by that is, do you want to put a blue soft highlight behind them? Or do you want to make it look like there's a soft blue light behind them? Because those are two different things. Let me see if I can show an example. Okay, so let's say I want this to be translucent. I want it to be a little more translucent, that you can see this light kind of coming through. I can do it one of two ways, or I can do it a lot of ways, but two main ways. The first way is I can actually just get a thing, get maybe an airbrush or a soft round or something, get the lighter color, come over on, let's say, a color dodge layer, and then do a lot of like that, which is kind of the literal way to do it, but you can see how it is kind of washing some stuff out. Same thing here. Like, okay, yeah, that's actually a perfect example right there. So that right there, I like the kind of weird membraney stuff, but then if I come in and do that, it kind of gets rid of it. So what you could do instead, let's say I like this one, but I want to do the same thing here, but not use the color dodge stuff. That's when you can actually come in and manually make it work. So then you can pick, oh, I see what it does. It saturates around there. So then I can come in and give it the effect of the same thing. And it allows me to control. I can even make more membrane lines. I can do that sort of thing. And it pronounces those even more. So you're getting the same effect, but it's figurative. You're taking the knowledge of what you saw with the color dodge and you're interpreting that with brushstrokes. Instead of, I'm going to make the software do a color dodge or a soft light layer or a this, and whatever happens, happens, and hope for the best. You can see the effect of kind of what it gives you and then like replicate it, like do it manually, because you're going to learn quite a bit that way. Because you're going to learn what it's really like to have a translucent membrane. And we talked about like texture material studies. That's a perfect way to do it. If you see how light's hitting or something like that, like I use no color dodge or no on any of that stuff on any of this. This was all just painting, but you can tell it was just painting because there's no weird aberrations as far as like, if I go here and I go here, and then I got that one. There's no weird like sure, that looks cool, but how can I mimic that with the painting? And that gets more, you know, it makes it more interesting too, because now you're making more decisions. You're relying less on the software to tell you what it is, and you're making the decisions about it, you know. So, and the good news is, if you're running into a lot of issues while you're painting, it means you are working on the correct painting. It means you are exactly where you need to be, right? Because if you're pushing yourself to a limit and you get yourself into a situation you've never been in before, that's a very good place to be. That's a very good place to be. Because a lot of people think if they try painting and it didn't quite work right and all this other stuff, that, well, you know, next time I'll do it better. I'm going to start from square one. You're not starting from square one, you're starting from experience. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're starting from a place that now you have knowledge. You have knowledge of what doesn't work or what didn't get you what you wanted. And you can utilize that. You know. Trying to give these some like gritty tooth feel, you know? I don't know what they're supposed to be, but a good secret for lights hitting, the most saturated part is going to be right before the highlight. Because basically you're going to have, or right before the specular highlight, I should say. So like, the most saturated, the reason why a color dodge works right here is because it's saturating all the parts right before the highest highlight. And it makes these like super saturated, you see, where it literally, what is that, 81% saturation, but then we move over here, yeah, I guess they're close, but like, that's where you're gonna get some just a mix of high saturation, high brightness. Your chroma's pretty good, you know what I mean, for that color. What I really want to do, actually, I learned also another really cool trick. Ooh, I just found a shape. This is another thing I'm starting to do. I'm going to do a video about this, but you see how these are kind of divots coming into the head? I'm going to keep that sort of motif, but maybe bring this down a little bit, because I just saw a shape that I can use to sell that idea pretty well. So if I bring this down here, but this, now that looks a little more like protruded out, kind of gross, right? And that kind of comes up. I can't remember what channel it's on. It may have been Feng Zhu. He may have talked about the form exercise, to where all you do is you make a painting of nothing but forms. And like literally it's like you make a blob and then you shade the blob and then you shade that blob and then that blob turns into that blob and that blob turns into that blob. Like, it's a great exercise because it trains your brain to notice patterns. Because like all of this that I'm doing right here is just BS. This is all nonsense. I have no clue what this is. This doesn't make any sense. Is this his bone? Is this a brain? Is it a weird like membrane thing? Like, I don't know. But I also don't care because it's interesting to look at. And like we've talked about before, I'm getting more and more interested in like what looks neat. But then if we use our fundamentals and actually render it out pretty well, it doesn't matter what it is, it's going to work, you know. And then like, ooh, that could almost be like a little spider webby looking thing. And see, this is just a true essence of like shut your brain off and just get to work type of stuff. You know, put on a podcast, put on an audiobook, and just zone out. Like it doesn't matter what it is. That's a tangent, but maybe I might like that tangent actually. Let me keep that. Figure it out. We'll do it live. And see, I do like kind of the weird specular, almost like divots on the face. Once again, they don't make much sense, but they work regardless. You know what I mean? And we can do that. So in 3D, this type of thing is called a greeble. Greeble. And I can't remember what the exact definition is, but basically it means textured nonsense. So a greeble is like if you make a spaceship, let's say like a 3D spaceship. A greeble would be all the little wires of the engine. They don't actually really do anything, but because it's there, the viewer and the audience is like, oh, well, that's probably how it gets its power. Maybe, like, but it's, you know, it's kind of all fake. You know, it's not really connected. It's not a real piston engine or something, you know, it's not a... So... But greebles are great because they can trick the viewer into thinking there's more to something than what's actually there. So doing these type of things, like just bringing in more lines and like connecting the lines in like a tangential way, you see? I'm gonna do this. It looks like all of this design was like interconnected somehow from the very beginning, even though it wasn't. Yo! Oh, snap. Dope Boy Magic himself is in the audience, my friend. What's up, brother? So if this is the Dope Boy Magic, I know. That used to be my roommate. Way back when. We're talking... Man, we're talking, what, 2007-ish? Yeah, buddy. Doing good, man. Hope you and the family are doing well, man. We're just knocking out a painting. We don't really know what of, but that's never stopped us before. So I'm just kind of bringing in and see, like, that's cool. So maybe I should actually start working on this part, the part that I think is gonna make it look pretty cool. Because I definitely, I called this one Demon Slayer, right? The alternate title of this painting might actually be Fruity Pebbles. Because, no lie, I was like, what color should I use? And then I was like, screw it. I'll use every color. And I got a picture of a bowl of Fruity Pebbles, and I just started color picking. So that's why some of the greens are like really vibrant, and then like darken some of them. And it was fun because I just get to work with value and get to work with like the saturation and how that's different, and it's just fun. It's just a fun way to do things, you know? Yeah, sure, we'll keep that. We'll bring the opacity down a little. We will merge that one down. I'm going to select all, edit, copy, merged, edit, paste. That way we get the version with the actual highlights without it dulling it down when we merge it down. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to get me the mixer brush tool. And I'm going to get me some of these just bangers. And we are going to color pick. And smooth some of these out, right? Let me bring that one in. We'll just pick a few of these. And these are enormous brushes. So as far as like a system load, there we go. So we'll kind of do this. That kind of ate into, there we go. Ate into that silhouette, but that's fine. Check it out. Your channel is on my list. Yeah. Sleep finally. Now it's my turn. Heck yeah, dude. Get you some sleep. I know that feeling all too well right now, brother. Got me... Well, Gracie's 12 now, which is nuts. And then got me a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Man, oh man. Crazy life. Here, we're going to blur that edge. I had this, like, very deep red, or, like, bright red color. I didn't know what it was going to be for, and I still don't know. So I'm just going to get rid of it. And if I need it that bad, it will organically come back. You know. In this, I think my goal for this area is gonna have a nice, like, of course, painterly look, but also make it not super, I don't know, the eye-catching brushwork I really want to be right here. But then if you like zoom into this brushwork, I want people to be like, how the hell did he do that? Because that's always fun. It's fun to do like brush tricks, which is what I consider these. Like things that artists will notice, but even non-artists are like, ooh, look at all the... How'd you do all that blending? You know, they'll use a term. It may not be the right term, but like you kind of know what they mean. That's always fun. That's how you know you got a hit on your hands. Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Boom. There we go. The Redeemer. What I think I'm actually also going to do is I'm going to extend out the highlights here. I am going to make this come down a little more. Because while I like the idea of the bright highlight on maybe these right here on the horns or whatever those are, I kind of want the light to sort of like funnel more. And we can do some fun, like actual thicker brushwork. And then I will take this maybe even into Krita and use some of those Mimi Leo brushes because those are sick. Do is an actual good old-fashioned value check. I'm not too worried about the values though. I think they work okay. Like I'm not seeing anything that's really jumping out as incorrect or not where it needs to be. I can maybe bring this over. Connect these dots right here. There we go. And if I get a boom and come in here, and bring that around. Wondering if that's too bright next to, maybe so actually. It's almost like a tangent because you have two very similar shapes right next to each other. Oh, thank you, Greg. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, these are just fun because they're sort of like mindless. You know? What's up, Dark Matter? Good to see you. Yeah, this one we're going to keep it pretty brushy, as it were. Actually, that divot right there. See, that's the thing, is I see these little, like, nuances, and I want to, like, define more forms. But sometimes that's not the right call. I don't know what makes it the right call or not, but sometimes it just doesn't work the way I thought it would. So it gets scrapped. All right. Oh yeah, brain always gets in the way. Genuinely, I do believe if I could, like, get out of my own way, I would make much better paintings. Much better paintings. But I get too, like, caught up with theory and does that work? And look at the balance and the contrast and stuff, which, you know, it's important to think that way as an artist because you don't want your viewer necessarily to think about that stuff. So it's your job as the artist to think about it. But it can also make for some very formulaic, kind of boring stuff. You know what I mean? I will show you guys real quick a very easy, very fun thing that I learned from Peter. Watching some of his, I saw Brent is a big fan of Peter Pollock as well. I mean, everyone should be. But, something that I noticed that he does, let me save this real quick before I bring up Pure Ref. So, if you ever wonder how he is able to get... let's see. There's one painting in particular that he... Okay, something like this, right? This type of lighting. If you ever wondered how to get this, we can try it out right now, because I'm almost positive I know what he did to get these. And see how, like, nice and rich the colors are still, even though if they're in the shadow or whatever. I figured out the secret. Probably not the secret. The real secret is he's an amazing painter. But what doesn't hurt is doing this. Get you a curves layer. Bump that stuff down, bud. Bump it down. Keep it kind of light. Kind of wash it out a little. Bring it down. Bring it down. Bring it down, bring it down. All right? So you have something like that. Now, you have this. Where you want your light, erase it. So, if we have something like right here, or I should say mask it out, right? And, like, mine doesn't look as extreme. But you can absolutely see how you can get, like, an insane amount of control over your form shadows. They can be very subtle, but they keep the saturation correct relative to the darkness and the lightness of the area. So then you can hit it like there. There. Actually, we can sort of bring this one in. There's that. There's that. And this is really just to accentuate forms, you know. So if you see that, the only danger of it is If we're making a print, we may not want it to get this dark. So we can just hit, like, see, there you go. And if you do a soft brush, it looks like light is coming in, you know. Kind of really does that edge right there, yeah. Now, what the light is doing, who knows, who cares? I think another fun thing you can do is you can draw some shapes and then warp the shapes around. So a good way to do, that's a very good way to do your cool techniques and tricks. See, that would be fun. Like a digital painter's toolkit type of thing. That'd be a fun one. Kind of an extension on how to render. You know, we did that one render, that one render piece. And I wonder if you guys notice, I didn't really mess with the arms too much. It's funny, these brushstrokes kind of went in, and then they kind of just worked. And I added the little, like, scratch to make it look like he had a little cut on his arm. Like he's kind of battle hardened or whatever. The only thing I think I might do is make it to where, because this is supposed to be like a pauldron, but then it was funny because whenever I was painting it and stuff, I forgot to, like, edge it off here. So what I might actually do is make this part of his arm. Like, we'll be able to tell that it's a piece of metal and, like, golden metal. But we can do it to where it's like the skin is coming around it. Like this is protruding out of his arm. The same way that you could imagine these horns are protruding out of it. It doesn't make sense. Like, what are the logistics of a giant, exactly correct shaped pauldron being grafted into your arm? But, like, it looks cool. That's what matters. You know. So that did get a little darker. Let me see how. That looks fine. And by the way, guys, what I'm doing here, whenever I'm, like, checking to see if something's going to work as a print or not, I'm using what's called proof colors. So in Photoshop and in other programs too, but Photoshop is the one that kind of invented this. This and Lightroom, excuse me, both Adobe things. Proof, you can set a custom mode about, like, oh, what would this look like if somebody had color blindness? You know, which actually that looks pretty rad. But, like, oh, and then if they had protanopia, and then this is the other one, deuteranopia. So this is actually kind of a nice trick because you're like, oh, can this still work even if somebody's colorblind? Usually if your values work, you're safe, right? But like, you'll see, like, working black plates. What's the magenta? Okay, so there's the magentas. Anything darker means it has more of it. The density of it is there. And anything lighter, pretty sure that's how that works. Yeah, anything lighter is more away from it. So you can do, like, yeah. So that one is working cyan. So all of these other colors, pretty much none of these have cyan. Like, there's a cyan, there's a cyan. You have, like, hot spots. You know what I mean? So if you want to see cyan, magenta, and yellow, so everything but not black, see, you get something like that. So that's basically what our piece looks like if they had no black ink in the printer. You know, which that still even kind of works. It's not great, but you still kind of get it, right? You see the face, you see the eye, you see, so like the image is working. Now composition and stuff, it could be improved, of course, but you know, these are just tests to see. So working CMYK, this is what it looks like if it's coming out of the printer. The one that a lot of people set up is if you make a custom one. If you go to proof setup and go to custom, there's actually one called dot gain 20%. There it is. Sorry, I have an eyelash in my eye, so I'm going to get that real quick. Oh, dang Texas allergies, dude. It's been like raining or like drizzling and stuff, so it messes with it. But dot gain 20% is exactly the same thing as doing our value checker layer, as getting like a black and then putting it on color overlay. So you can do dot gain 20%, boom. It's exactly the same. So if you put that on a hotkey, so my hotkey is Control Y, right? So anytime if I want to check my values, I can actually just hit Control Y and bring it in. Okay, cool, 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 Control Y. And the nice thing about that as well is you're working in values, but you're still working in color. So you're seeing the values, but if I color grab, like, so if I come over here and I'm like, oh, let me do this. Let me do this. Oh, did they change it? Oh, wait. Ha. This is an older version of Photoshop. Nowadays, the newer versions of Photoshop, it's probably an option, but instead of doing what's visible on screen, so instead of doing just grayscale and getting these, well, actually, wait. Oh, good. Okay. Oh. Okay, so I'm not an idiot. I mean, I'm kind of an idiot, but okay. I was on my clipping mask, so I was only in black and white. That's dumb. Okay, so here's the original point before I corrected myself. I'm going to correct the correction. You're seeing this in values now that you have your proof set up. However, if I come and I color pick here, notice that it picked the actual color. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is a great way to work in values. This is actually a really good... Alexander, what's up, my friend? Good to see you. This is a way that you can pick a value and paint with it and not necessarily know what color you're using. Which sounds scary, and it kind of is, but you can make some incredible paintings that way, because you're going to make sure that your values are right. And if the values work, the painting works. You know, we've established that. So this is a great way to get some really energetic color usage without focusing on the color at all. And then whenever you're done and you want to see what you got, you just hit Control Y again to turn off the proof. And there you go. You know what I mean? So it's a cool way to work. It's more fun than anything. It's more like a fun thing to do. I would say if you're working on a painting and you want to just have color variety, just throw some colors all over everything and turn it onto like overlay layer. And that's a better, easier way to work. That's kind of what I did with this. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to graft this into his arm real quick. This whole thing, I'm just going to graft into the arm. Okay. I'm going to render a little bit. But we're going to stay within our already selected values. So we're not going to add anything from the color wheel. We're just going to use what we have here and essentially just sketch, right? And we're going to have some like, we might do something like this. This is going to be a tricky thing to get right though, like to sell that idea. Almost like an IV, like it's going into the skin. So you sort of have to like bring this up and then sort of like, because I don't want it to look like it's resting on the skin. I want to make it look like it's going into the skin. So like that type of thing. See, it's going to be tricky to like really let it get that feeling. Because the secret is I'm going to meld all this together, right? Have to have that. Maybe cross those over a little bit, right? Have that be like a shadow coming down. It's almost like a skin rip, you know? We'll zoom out in a minute and see if this is working. I mean, it could, but like, really you just almost want skin to like be peeling onto it, which is gross, but that's the point. That is the point. Yeah, see what I mean? Where it's almost like stretching that out a little bit. I do need to lessen the saturation here, I think. Or the lightness, rather. Yeah, there we go. And then, ooh, that's cool. That's gross, but that's cool. This could almost be like... Because see, these are brush strokes. That's impasto brushes right there. But it kind of gives you that form of like a blister, like a nasty looking like skin aberration. I don't necessarily know who would buy a print of this, because it's not the prettiest painting. I mean, hopefully the painting's good, but it's not like... You know what I mean? Here, let me... Introducing that shadow color here. Let me get the soft round. That'll That'll make it form a little better. And then you can do that. And then same thing like here maybe. Smooth these out. Racing that works better overall than just doing a 50% grade multiplier layer in racing. I think it does the same thing. I do know that curves keeps the hue in check, while adding gray is actually going to desaturate. But a curve layer keeps the saturation. And I do think that there is some merit to having some nice saturations in the shadows, even if there's not texture or like detail. I think there's something cool about still having vibrant color, even though you shouldn't be able to really see it. Because, as we know, the only way for things to be seen is through light. You have to shine light on something to see it, whether it's bounce light or rim light or fill light or whatever. But the only way to get information is to be able to see it, because everything looks exactly the same if everything's pitch black. If the light's shut off and your eyes aren't adjusted, everything looks the same. But like keeping this saturated blue here doesn't necessarily make sense from a theory standpoint. But if I zoom out, and then if I also check my values, the values are fine. So it still works. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I would say either way is going to get you some good results. It's just be careful with using anything gray or black or white, as those, by their very nature of what they do, they remove saturation. All right, so what we're going to do, let's take this bad boy into Krita and see what nastiness we can get into. Here's some, is this Guild Wars or is this Elder Scrolls Online? I cannot tell. This might be old Guild Wars art. Anyway, now I have a whole bunch of different backgrounds that I go through. Open up Krita. Oh, duh. Krita's already open, you goober. What are the differences here? Oh, okay, yeah. Gotcha. Okay, so that is fine. Okay, so that's kind of the differences. Here's what we were at before. Now we're here. So that contrast is a little better. I sharpened some of the edges. So the rendering's a little better. Okay. Let's go ahead. I'm going to duplicate layer. Let's come to our good old Memulio. And we are going to get buck wild with some brushwork. But only in the light. Only in the lights. That's going to be our rule. Anything that's in shadow, not getting the crazy impasto brushes. But anything that's in a light is going to get it. And I'm hoping that gives us a really cool deal. So that's actually something different than what Peter does. Because Peter doesn't really use any impasto brushes. Really. His stuff is fairly smooth. Not that he uses a hard round brush all the time, because he actually doesn't. There's some good Paintstorm Studio brushes he uses that are pretty. And I love how he hides his name in every one of his paintings. It's super cool. But yeah, there's not a ton of impasto brush work. It's just very kind of textured, dry brush. Just good rendering, you know. See, like, yeah, that type of highlight, the specular highlight that changes color, great. Oh, great example. You know how we talked about right before it goes from the highlight to the shadow and stuff? That's where your saturation is. Perfect example. Right here, right here, right here, right here. And see, he's even introducing other colors, but they still follow the rule about saturation, so it still works. But the type of rendering I would love to be able to do, at least on a level of like, without having to think too much about it. Like stuff like this, which doesn't seem like anything, but there is so much nuance here. Makes my eyes bleed. In a good way. There's so much kind of... Where was the other thing? Yeah, and like this ribcage area and stuff. That type of brushwork is just unbelievable to me. Because and like this right here, because this reminds me of like Tyler Jacobson stuff. You know, very much in that same vein. So that's my next goal, is to learn how to kind of do that. And I'm trying to figure out what it is. I know part of it is they stay away from black for their shadows. You know, they get really dark, but it's not black. And that's also adjusted through the curves. So like I could come in and do a curve slope adjustment here and do that and change it. But we're just going to have the fun of doing this. Let's just make some rad looking thick impasto. What do I want? I want that one. I want that one. So the nice thing about doing it like this is we can have some crazy looking brushes here, and it should sing out pretty well, and then we can just come in and really make it happen, you know. Yeah, flipping canvas is a good idea. What I really need to do, and I have it on a hotkey, and I don't think I've literally ever used it, is rotating my canvas. But not rotating it like 90 degrees. Rotate it like 20 degrees. And then see what other angles you can get, you know. Let's do that one. Make it bigger. There we go. Check out them juicies right there, huh? It's kind of overkill, but that's actually fine. I need something. I need something. Need something fun to look at. Something that we can kind of hang our hat on a little bit. You can do some really cool like blends and stuff. Thank you, P. Garza. Thank you, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. So yeah, sometimes it's just fun to shut your brain off and make random brushstrokes and kind of see what happens, you know? I'm just saying it's a little gaudy, a little too it insists upon itself. That's fine. I'm just trying to think. Here's the thing. So I want to let you guys in on the secret about the YouTube channel and stuff. Since I've kind of lost my mind a little bit, I'm thinking like starting next year, I'm thinking of like making a character and not being the character all the time. Not being the character all the time, but I had this idea of like a really hoity-toity, basically imagine the worst art teacher you've ever had, and it would be that. It would be like, well, the symbolism of the, like that type of stuff. I think that would be really funny. And like, I could call myself out on stuff. I could have like the bad art teacher like find a book about what real art is and be like, well, what you're doing is not real art. Like every naysaying sort of comment that you would ever get on a YouTube, make a character making fun of all of it. I don't know. I think it might be funny. So I don't want to lose the silhouette, but I do want to make, yeah, there we go. Okay, now we're cooking with gas. It was very, yeah. Well, there would be a way of telling. Like, because it would be me talking to the camera and I'll be like, you know, I really think this one is fun just because it has a lot of, cool shapes. And then it would like cut over and it would be me with like a feather boa and like my nose would be up in the air and I'd be like, shapes. What do you know about the contrapposto of like that sort of thing? And then I'd like look over and be like, who let that guy in my house? It would be very apparent that it wouldn't be. let me bring in some of this because I'm curious. I do like these brushes quite a bit, and because one, they do a great job of mixing colors on the canvas, but something that it also does that's really cool is somehow it gives texture that's not impasto, and it's hard to explain, but it gives a sense of like material texture. See, like that, like that's a winner because of that. You can interpret that as like rust coming off of the, like these are clearly impasto brushes right here, but this is the same brush, but because of the way it kind of cut into the, it can be interpreted as something different, which I appreciate. I appreciate that type of stuff, to where you get those, like Bob Ross calls them happy accidents, you know. And then some of these are just pure texture brushes, which is cool, but you got to be careful because, ironically, you would think impasto brushes give you depth, but it actually gives you less depth because it flattens out your image. Because everything that's not impasto now literally looks more flat because it is more flat, because you have a three-dimensional thing sticking up on top of it. So that's why it's kind of dangerous to use a lot of these brushes, especially like right next to each other, because it can get really unwieldy and kind of, so yeah, should be a rake down here, right? There's a knife. Oh, actually, let's just go into the paint brushes. And then let's come into the blender rake. And then you can like, we can really like, and see, those are cool, like, but the cool thing is, because this is all in Krita and it uses the same brush engine for all of this, you can use these brushes to blend in your really thick impasto stuff, you know. So if I come over here, like, let me come in and just add these. Okay. Then if I come up here, dry bristle, pure white, and then come back over top again and make these kind of my specular highlights. We can also do some wet bristle. I love the wet bristle because they're very blendy. Oh, didn't want to do that. They're very blendy in Krita, which I can also appreciate, because you get some, it's almost like a soft round that carries a lot of pigment, which is pretty cool. Maybe that's what I need to do over here, like this. Then if we do like, texture, oh yeah, that's a good one. Oh, of course. We gotta have some splats, dude. Skin creases because the edges. Yes. The hard soft brushes are super nice. So here's a fun one. If you want to break up some stuff with some more texture, but not have it be overbearing, you can use splatter brushes. And the secret is almost use it like a halftone. See what I mean? It's just adding a little bit of something. You know what I mean? Just a little bit of extra spice. Just a little kind of, you're almost leading the eye with some breadcrumbs of it. So if we do a large splat, maybe here. And ironically, it kind of ties the piece in really well. You know? Yeah, I mean, these are just bangers. You know what I mean? Oh, that's a good idea. I can introduce more of these darker splatters into the shadow stuff. That's a good idea. Because then it looks like I did all this on purpose. And see, what's great is you're never wrong because you're color picking from your own colors that you've already established. I didn't need that one. I do want that one. And then let's do a little bit of light and then a little bit of dark. A little bit of light, a little bit of dark. There we go. That's cool. Now it's starting to get a little bit of personality, you know? Oh yeah, like basically what his eyes are doing. Or, yeah, what we could do. We wanted something down here, right? There you go. Yeah, not bad. That's cool. Okay. What else does this one need? Yeah, I literally was kind of looking at that and like how this is kind of turning a cyan color. maybe almost how like these could be interpreted as like gums, like cracks and teeth type stuff, because it's around a mouth. Maybe bring up, because we kind of have that motif going right here. Because of the way the highlight is hitting, it sort of makes... Yeah, let's try that. Let's try this. So we're going to do it on a new layer just in case. We'll just try to get... And see, the secret is we're going to try to find this form and use the shadows we've already established and make sure that this feels like it's actually like part of... Okay. And this will allow us to keep building. Keep building those forms and those shapes. Really like accentuate them. What brush is this? Basic 6 details. I like this one. I think same color for people in his eye. So I don't think so. I mean, we can definitely try it, and here's what we can do. We do that, and then literally complement. It's a little too much, I think. I think it's a good idea. It's worth a shot for sure. And then if we get like a little bit of white and just try to like it might be a little too, I mean, abrasive isn't the right word. It's just, I don't know if it, you see what I mean? It's definitely worth trying. It was worth trying. What we could do is, see how many we have here. What we could try doing, there's a lot of reds. What if we just orange this out a little bit? Let's full that. Let's try it with yellow. I don't know, something's... You know what? Let's just do this. Yeah, let's do like candy apple. Let's sharpen this. Oh, and then we'll do this. Yeah, darker. Oh, let me try this. Glaze. So I wonder if we can make... I think the real thing to make the eye look cool is to give it almost like that cloudy. And then come in again. There we go. Yeah. I think you were right on the money about the cyan, guys. Works really well. And then what I was trying to do, let me see if I can figure this out. Without being really obvious about how the eye is, I like that he's kind of looking not at us, but like, I mean, it can be interpreted that he's looking at us, but it can also be interpreted that he's looking like down in the corner a little bit, or that his eyes are completely like, what is it called, milk washed, whenever like kind of a dead body has that glaze, like, so they could be actually looking forward too. Yeah, like right past, yeah, exactly, like acknowledges that we're there, but doesn't, yeah, like the cataract, yes, yes, yes. But I think that also has to do, and it's funny because the anatomy on the eye is completely wrong. This anatomy doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense for the eye. But it looks cool, so I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it's the very comic book way of what we can do. Yes, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. So having the cyan there is sort of my highest highlight, but saturated, because the values still work because of how freaking bright it is. Like, look at that. That's crazy. And then, like, let's get rid of this one. Oh, that's actually dope. So check this out. I just noticed that we have a little bit of green right here. So let's play with that, because that means we can play with kind of an opacity look. Almost like we can see through, like, this part of the skull isn't as and almost like you can see stuff under the surface, because this line looks like it can kind of come over here. but I want to make sure that it actually does look like it went into the skull instead of being as bright as it. Does that make sense? Like that there is a layer. Oh, I know I can do that, duh. If I put details on the skull, they will be on top of all of that. So, there we go. So this is why overlapping works pretty well. Overlapping is always a secret to depth. Like, to give something that look that it's really either going in or coming out or whatever. It's the overlap of stuff. Detail brush. I like how sharp this detail brush is. I'm going to do what I consider lazy man's detail, which is cross-hatching. Now, cross-hatching is a very, very, very vital skill, and it's very hard to do. So the reason I call it lazy man's detailing is because I'm lazy and I don't know how to cross-hatch. But I've noticed that if I just do lines in some places, it gives the appearance that I put them there on purpose. That's always good. Intent is a very strong thing. That was too much. But like, perfect way to build believability and like that sort of stuff. These are like 1 pixel razor blade. And then like yeah, these are mean brushes. Holy crap. Yeah, kicked in the head by Tauren. Yeah, that's true. The elite Tauren chieftains hit him. Yeah, no, that's true. See, and I need... So what I'm going to do, I'm going to razor blade some of these edges right here, like this one. goes back in. Ooh, and then, yes. And then this one as well. I'm actually going to get rid of the highlight on the tip of this. Really crisp up this silhouette, at least a few places on it. So it's funny, this is normally the type of step that I would normally skip because I never found it interesting. But I'm finding it more interesting lately. And I think it's going to be one of the things that gives us our next big level up. Is just spending time here. Like, really finding the shapes and clearing them and like making them read sharper, and then like giving cool negative space shapes and what's fun, you can always, this is a cheap trick for doing good armor. Figure out where your light source is. Then, so it's kind of just facing directly at him, honestly. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but take one of your darker colors. Sharp line, sharp line. Take the highlight. Actually do the other side. There it is. And then you're going to get these nice looking you just follow them like that. Actually, that's the needs to be yeah, they can be there. That's fine. You can always just add those little like actual scratches. Another fun thing you can do, it won't really fit here because I can't think of a place to put it, but if you do the scratchy lines and then you count, if you like I always think of like Legolas and Gimli, how they keep count of how many kills they have. I did that on a piece of Warhammer art on the side of one of the pauldrons on one of the characters. They had like 5, 6, 7, 8, or like something like, but they did it in scratches to keep count of how many kills they had. It's like little storytelling things like that. It's fun. Oh, there we go. We can use that to also, and see, these are impasto brushstrokes, but you can literally use those brushstrokes as shading or as, you know, kind of highlight hits, and then come in and paint shadow hits. and it just ties everything together because you're using the natural, like watercolor painters do that all the time. They use what naturally happens with the water and then they bring it in, right? Like they're like, oh yeah, I meant to do that. And then they just make it look like a thing. So we have that, and then if that comes up here, yeah, see it looks like battle worn. We can also do some of these. Bring more dots here. Oh no. I think my whole goal now is just to like, what art looks cool enough that people might buy it to hang on their wall? Because in theory, if an image, and I know this actually is not true, and I plan on doing a video about this, because in theory, if an image works well for a print, it should work well like getting hired for like Magic or, you know, doing a tabletop role-playing game. You know, because technically if an image works, it works, which that part's true. But I think the needs are much different for a print hanging in someone's home versus a piece that's in a book or as part of a part of a greater project. I think the needs are different. So technically what works well with one thing may not work at all with the other. I mean, a good image is a good image. That part's true. But I think there's more nuance than that. But I'd like to do a video on that. Do I want that to be kind of broken off? Yes. Yes, I do. And then we have that one. All right. So literally the devil is in the details. That's true. So I think this one's actually about done. I can't think of too much more that I would really want to add or change, or I mean, let me go ahead and straighten out this part a little bit. Get that nostril looking okay. Yeah, we got something like that. Really getting rid of any weird kind of tangents. What do I want? I want 5 flat because I want to come over here and do that. Let me see what the oh yeah, like that kind of smoke sort of look. I actually want to get rid of this hair, I think. And then extend that up. Yeah, because you can do some really cool stuff as far as like making the here, let me kind of blend this in here. There we go. Because that should be in front. Okay, cool. So we kind of do that. Boom. That's saved. And then what's also fun to do is select all, edit, copy. We'll just paste it here. So that's what Krita brought us. So we were here for the first, for the export. And Krita brought us here, which is time well spent, I think. Looks a little more weird and painterly and energetic, maybe. It's just more random, which I kind of like. But see, what I was thinking is, who was it that had the smoke? I think I actually have so really, actually, I know who has one. Bum, 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 bum. And I don't want to use a smoke brush. I want to use a magic brush. Oh, don't tell me I don't have his stuff here. I don't. I think I do. It's Darkhan. Darkhan had... Oh, wait. Randy Vargas might. Where we at? Where we at? Mist. Looking for it specifically to paint magic. Not Magic the Gathering, but like... Okay, so here's like Rising Smoke 1. Rising Smoke 2. Flames, Fire, Electric. Here we go. Screen color dodge. Yes, that's what I want. Color dodge. Let's try these. And then this would be... And then you can do like a... maybe not that one. Let's try this one. Energy. Okay, that's closer. Like, actually, I wonder what cyan would be. It's a little too... Well, actually... Because, see, that's the only trick, is there's, like, a lot of stuff around. That could be good, and then I'll just go around that outline right there. So it can the effect be gradient, cyan to red? Yes, I think so. Let me check that. Because if I do like this, how would I do this? Because basically you would put, oh yes, duh, yes, it would be like this. Wait, hold on. So if I would do that, then I would come over here, do a gradient map, set it here, and then do and if I go to reset gradients, and then this would be, wait, how would I do this? Oh, duh. No, and then it wouldn't be, yeah. Okay, here we go. It wouldn't be that, it would be this. So let me erase this one. I think it would be there, right? Yes, okay. And then oh, duh. And then like, so you do this. Wait, did I get rid of? I did, didn't I? What did I get rid of? Why is my gradient map not there? My finger hit something and then it kind of went away. All right. Anyway, so it would be something like that, and then you could come in and do a color dot. So it's like, and you can do them like, you know, like it can work. It can. But it's almost like you really kind of got to balance it, you know? because it's kind of its own thing. Maybe if it's like smaller. So I just don't want it to kind of like get in the way of other stuff, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. It is an interesting dynamic. Yeah, right. And like, so what's really cool, the real cheat sheet stuff, is if you wanted to go ahead and like do this. Wait, what? No. Oh, I think I know what I did. I think that's my gradient map, and I think I just made a... Okay. I see what's going on now. Okay, yes. Okay. Don't need that. That's fine. Here's what I wanted. I want to do... Let's say the smoke was a little... Yeah, let's say it was green smoke. Why not? You can also do color dodge. Let's try yeah, that makes stuff really dark. That's a cool like slice of light though. It like vignettes it, you know. And also just come in and like it gets rid of that smoke, and then you can come over here and like we can do that. We'll do that one. And then we'll get our normal everyday brush and come in and get rid of see, normally I don't do a lot of like quote unquote like special effect type things. I don't really go for it, but lately I'm like, might as well try it, you know. And if we have black here, we can wonder. Yeah. Yeah. In oils, this would be ridiculous. It actually would be really hard to temper all this stuff, though. But I think I know what might work really well for this one. Edit, fill, we'll fill it with black. Let's give it a noise layer. What is this? That's what it is. Okay. That's the button I hit. Gotcha. Boom. Don't need that. Okay. Normal. Let's hide that. Don't need gradient map. Don't need that. Okay, there we go. I was wondering what was happening with my layers. Okay, that. There we go. So got that. Yeah, that's cooler. Got that. Now here's what I wanted to do. Filter, noise, add noise, not monochromatic. So about 14% and go on screen. There we go. Just a bit of noise to bring this all together. See? And it also helps out on CMYK printing. So we got that right there. Yeah, this really helps. So if I go to proof setup, CMYK, that's not a huge difference. So that means we've actually kind of done our job pretty well. Yeah, that's true too. If we want to do some real fun stuff, we can use saturation. Boom. And then this just goes to show the power of values. If we change this, now it looks like a Diablo, like World of Warcraft deal, you know, all the nasty blues and purples with the like crazy green. And then that's more of like the necromancer stuff. So like that's how, then you have like your blues and your like purple. Like that's crazy, right? You can do a lot. You can do a whole lot. And now it's funny because now it looks like his arm is just like glowing, like there's something inside of it glowing. It's just funny how changing those, you know, blues, magentas. It's true. Oh, we can also do let's see. Well, I know what we can do. And this might actually be a decent thing to do anyway. So we have that. So that's good. Now if we come over and we do, what is it? Color balance. There we go. So if we want our highlights to kind of cyan out a little bit more and then maybe hit them with some blues. Midtones. Usually your magenta, yeah, like go dark magenta, or like if we want that oil painting look, you can give it more greens, because what it does is it neutralizes the color, so it makes it look a little bit more like natural canvas, which is weird. You wouldn't think that adding green to it would do that, but it always does. It's a pretty safe bet. And then like for your shadows, you can do like a, see, that gets real dark though. You know, we can do that. So part of me likes it a little warmer, because whenever it cools down, it almost kind of, I don't know, it takes some of the life out of it, I think, which makes sense because your warmer colors is what gives life. But you can always come over here, do this. Oh, duh, because it's not turned on. Oh, that's cool, actually. Keep the keep the saturation just right here, and then have the saturation bow out around the sides. Yeah. And then same thing here. So I wonder, then you can really get buck wild with this. You know. That looks cool. Actually, I might like that a little better. Really start steering into the purple more. Because here's where it was, like the reds and stuff, but then this gives it a little bit more personality, maybe. It adds to that kind of punk rock flair. You know. Let me add that back in. Cool. I think we got a winner. Trying to decide. Do I want to blur this so the silhouette of his form reads better? Nah. Nah. Because I don't think it would do all that much, you know? Cool. All right. I think we got ourselves a print here. That's cool. Now, what I always like to do, which is silly, but I always like to kind of see what happens. So this is a merged copy. Now I'm going to come and do auto adjustments. So I'm going to see what it says for auto tone. Nothing. It didn't change anything. That's awesome. We're going to do auto contrast. Oh, duh. So, undo auto contrast. Oh, wow, it's not actually doing anything. Auto tone, it greened it up a little bit. Auto contrast, not much. Now here's where it gets kind of auto color usually does some buck wild stuff. Not bad. Well, actually, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. That's pretty sick. I know what I'll do. Let me try this. Yeah, super basic. Yeah. Split that bad boy in half. There we go. Yeah, that's funny. Here we go. Here it is, boys. Actually, let me check something real quick. On my old hard drive, I had, I don't think I have it on this one, but I actually might. I do. Y'all ain't ready for this, Jelly. You want to, you kids ready to go back to 2004? Which one's good? That one. Oh. We're doing the dang thing, kids. We are doing the dang thing. So watch this. Watch this one. See how big that is? Ironically, I used this on whenever I worked for Adidas. You know what you do? Set this to screen. Oh, would you look at that? Look at that. It's just so vibrant and delicious. It's like the worst. Oh, look at that. That's terrible. Now he's part of like a Michael Bay movie. Or no, J.J. Abrams, because of the light. Look at that. Oh. Oh. Look at that, dude. So sick. This is awful. This is awful. Can we get away with it, though? Hold on. Let me see something. No, because then it just looks like a line. You need it to blow out like that. That's so funny. Holy God, that's funny. Can we get away with... Hold on. No. That's just terrible. It's so bad. Ugh. Like... As much as I would love to make it work, it's just not gonna happen. Could we keep it like that? Because it's there. Yeah. Oh yeah, so on sci-fi stuff that works wonders. I mean, yeah, that's true. I can hue saturation it for sure. And then like change the it really doesn't make sense. Like oh, that's horrible. I mean, the blue doesn't look bad. Yeah, it does. So the only thing, it just kind of washes everything out. So like we could do it right here to where it's barely even perceivable. Yeah, that's true. Wrong layer. Oh yeah, I guess I could follow the form, couldn't I? And then to really make it work, put the noise over it too. Yeah, buddy. Look at that one. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm still on the fence if I like it or not. I don't know. Because it's funny for the laugh. It's funny for the laugh. Just knowing that we put that in the... Let's see, what are we looking at as far as like... Yeah, I mean, it would read in the print. Yeah, it might make it a little like more comic-y. Oh, let's see. Yeah, it might make it a little more like comic-y. The only thing is with the dissolve, it keeps the black in, so it has to be screen, simply because all of these images were taken on a black background. But really, I have a whole folder full of these. I'll open up one more just so you guys can laugh. Let's open up this one. Oh, we'll open up that one. Yeah, man. If you want to talk about old school spotlight, here we go. actually need to do is go. And then undo. There it is. Now he's on stage. He's doing his stand-up routine. Hi guys. I flew in and boy are my arms tired. Oh God. Would you rather be an AI artist or have a skill set, but you have to use a lens flare? I would do the lens flare. Yeah, this is his high school talent show. He's at the high school talent show. He's about to make it happen. He's about to ask out his crush, you know? But I think we're ready for it. I think we are ready for I think that's our one right there. Let me bring it under so it's integrated in a little better. I think we got ourselves a print. Oh, that's a cool idea. That's actually a cool idea. Let me see if I can do that. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll do my old, instead of this one. See if I can do this the right way. We're going to kick it real old school here in a second. Let's do this. Let's see. And then what's real fun We got ourselves a winner there. If you ever want to integrate something to make it look like it's part of a wall decor or something, get a painterly brush and mask it out. Mask out the texture. It always works. It works every time. It's the best cheat code on the planet. Like, it is the best. There you go. There we go, kids. So I'll make it a little bit smaller. Actually, I don't know. Does it look better bigger? Yeah, let's crank this like bigger. That's insane. That's too much, but that's funny. And then yeah. Here we go. So there you go. Turned into a watermark, yeah. So funny. And it is funny because now this looks like this is actual just wall texture instead of paint texture, or I guess it's like stucco paint. Cool. All right. Think we're done, gang. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do... Oh, not that one. Vintage paper. There was... I thought I had... like, drippy brushes, but... Wait, LCI... But yeah, we can just paint some. That's a good idea. Let's just do that. Okay. So I can bring in... Here we go. Grungy splatter. There we go. Something like that. Yeah. And then what's nice about it is if you scroll, like, if you're far away from it, you can't really tell. And then you see, that's what it looks like, all like blinged out. Yeah, here we go. I think that's it. Thank you, Ignian. Yeah, thank you guys for all the help. Those are some great ideas. I think whenever I upload it for the print, I'm going to take away the noise layer, probably. Just because I want to make sure that the prints themselves are pretty, like, crisp, you know? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping for it to be pretty good. And plus, like, this will be decent to put in the portfolio. The new website's coming. So maybe this is kind of the kickstart doing something else. You know what I mean? Like, instead of just trying to rely on old grimdark stuff, what if I just start going ham and making things? So I think that'll be fun. That should be fun, right? Just really start embracing more of the crazy comic, impasto, whatever style. Because, I mean, the thing is, I can get better at that, and then that's like a distinctive flair. So then the people that want to hire me only want to hire me for that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, because it's fun doing more academic stuff, but doing that would be, you know, that would be super fun. And plus, if I were to make a comic, like an ebook or a digital comic or whatever, it would be in that, more so this style that we just did tonight than like, oh, it needs to look like a classical painting. It needs to, you know, because that's all well and good, but it would take forever to make everything look like that, and couldn't get unstuck. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate you. It's fun. Yeah, and like I said, we'll be doing a whole lot more tutorials, a whole lot more workshops and stuff, because the new website should actually be done, I'm hoping, by this time next month. Near the end of October, it should be live. And it's a mix of a portfolio, but also a learning platform. So it's going to have all the courses there. You can buy the courses, you can watch them and have them in your, like, you'll have your own account, basically. And then whatever you buy is going to be as part of your history. You can always go back, you can rewatch stuff, you can always download things. So yeah, it's going to be a change for sure, instead of just having a traditional portfolio. But my workflow is not very traditional. Like, I'll work with people if they want to hire me, but primarily a lot of my stuff now is going to be the YouTube. It's streams, it's, you know, the art teacher side of it. So we're going to embrace that a little more. But then also that's going to kind of change the shift of narrative on, I'll turn that down a little. It'll change kind of what the YouTube channel feels like. It's going to be more focused on, instead of navel gazing about, like, I wonder what the future holds, it's now going to be more about genuine technique. It's going to be like, here are things to think about, as far as, like, if you want to give something more form, do these few things. And then if you want to know more, go to the website, because I do a full class on this. And, like, the YouTube is going to be used to push more of the like premium tutorial stuff, which some people are not going to like it. But it's not going to be like shilling necessarily. But at the end of the day, I have to embrace the art instructor side thing. You know what I mean? Daily color studies. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's yeah, 1 hour studies, like especially, and if you, a really fun study, and it's one I actually plan to do for the YouTube channel, is only use color contrast. Don't use value contrast necessarily. Like you can do values, you can have like, but make sure your values are pretty flat. But then can you make it really read with color? You know, it's fun. Tim McBurney is a really, really, really good YouTube channel to go check out. Because he talks about that, the difference between color value and tonal value and how you can balance both and stuff. He's super good at it, but he's done like French comic books. He's a self-published guy. He's done, he's really freaking good. And he's actually one of the people that I've been watching a lot lately because the way he's teaching makes sense to me. And I would like to teach that same way. And he, yeah, just the way he discusses really advanced topics, he makes it easy to digest, which I appreciate. It really makes you start appreciating gray. It really makes you start appreciating just having a few hits of big saturation, because that's going to tell you where you want the viewer to look. Because we always like bright and shiny things. We're like, oh, well, like, let me look at that. That looks cool. You know, oh, that big bright purple or whatever. Like people are aimed towards that. But then you realize that that's a very powerful tool. And if you also mix that tool with really sharp value contrasts. So if you mix your saturated color with the highest tonal contrast, you're 100% of the way there to make a good image, because that's where you want your viewer to look. You know what I mean? Like ours is very much in the skull, but then we just made everything else around it painterly and interesting to look at. But really it's the face and the structure and the expression and the, like, that was all we focused on really as far as the focal point. But there's other cool, fun stuff to find throughout the picture, but it's just, we want people to look at that face. You know what I mean? But yeah, that is my time. This was a fun one. This was a real fun one. Feeling really good about it. I think Saturday is going to be a lot of fun too. We might start working on another print and get that going. And so, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So hopefully you guys are feeling a momentum shift happening, because I can literally feel it happening in real time. The style is going to change. You know, the style that, you know, and I might not get the same jobs I had before, but who knows what's going to happen. If I get good at this and integrate it with the stuff I'm able to do, you never know. So I know a lot of times, you know, we like to think about, oh, what if I just drastically changed everything? So you can live vicariously through me, because I'm literally doing that right now. I'm trusting my gut more. I'm trusting my quote unquote style, my innate ability, rather than focusing on reference or doing studies. I'm kind of studied out. I've done studies almost every other day for 4 years. Let's just make stuff. Let's just make interesting images and see what happens, you know. But that's it for me. I'm excited for you guys to see the new site. I've been working real hard on it. And yeah, a lot of cool stuff. We're going to have newsletters. You guys are going to get coupon codes, all that stuff. So yeah, a lot of big changes happening. But you're here on the ground floor, and I appreciate you. So if you're here live, of course, couldn't do it without you. But if you're watching archive on YouTube or Twitch, thank you very much for your support. And we will see you all. Yeah, just getting some color, man. Color in our life. It's good, you know. But that's my time. I will catch you guys on Saturday. Until then, you know the drill. Go make cool art, and we will see you next time. Peace.